Hello, all you wonderful people. I'm Lisa from Living Life with Lisa, and today is going to be a little bit different because today is Patriot Day here in the. Or, no, it's. Well, I don't know if it's called that or Remembrance Day. Tell you the truth, I forgot. I forget. But it is the 17th anniversary of the September 11th attacks on. I just wanted to talk a little bit about where I was that day, and feel free to share your stories down below of how you felt that day in the comment section. And I also want to read a children's book for you that I found, and it's called September the 12th, and it's a wonderful book. If you can think back, if you were in the States and think back to that day, it didn't feel like all was well with the world by any stretch, and that weren't sure if the sun's going to come up tomorrow. So this book was written by a teacher with her students about the next day. But I'll get to that in a minute. But I was teaching music at the time, and I sometimes I had a 20-minute drive to work, and it turned out that I didn't have a first hour class that year, and I drove in to school in my car, and I didn't have the radio on. I chose to go quietly. And so I got to school and I walked in, and it was oddly quiet, I guess you would say. I walked into the office. Hang on. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So I got to school and I went into the front office and just kind of heard people talking, and I heard somebody say, "It's scary." And I didn't know what they were talking about. And I went and checked my mailbox, and I came out, and the principal was working on a display case out in the hallway. And I went up to him and I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "A plane's crashed into the World Trade Center." And I said, wasn't an accident or an attack?" And he said, "They think it's an attack." And I said, "Oh my gosh." So I went in and I turned on my TV in my room, and at that time we could still get analog, and I turned it on the Today Show, and they were talking about it and they were showing it, and while they were showing it and talking about it, I saw the second plane come in and hit the building. And then I watched as the buildings collapsed, and the people were running, and they were covered completely in soot, and they were running as fast as they could across that bridge. And it was terrifying, to say the least. So I finally had a class come in, and in the middle of class, the principal, it just turned out that I had a kid in my class that had always been, kind of a smart mouth and stuff. And this was third grade, and he'd always been a jokester and whatnot. And so started class. It was third graders, and the principal came over the PA with the announcement that a plane had crashed in Washington, D.C., and that the president was okay, but that was all they knew. And I just felt like somebody had busted me in the gut. And I literally fell back against the chalkboard and shut my eyes for a minute, and then I thought, "Oh no, I got these third graders looking at me." So I opened up my eyes and regained my composure. And they started worrying about what if they come and attack the school. And our school literally is in the middle of cornfields. And so I said, nobody wants a little podunk school in the middle of cornfield. They're wanting to attack us. They're going to attack the big places. Yeah, but what if they do? And so This, I'm going to say this kid's name is Brian. His name's not Brian. And so I finally said, well, if they come, I'll just send Brian out there to beat him up. Well, he took the bait right then, and he started talking, joking about how tough he was and everything, and what he would do to him, and got everybody giggling and laughing. And so we got through that class. But all day, they brought TVs into the teacher's lounge, and all day it just felt like it would never be okay again. Things would not be okay again. And it really felt like nothing was still here. And I don't know how to explain that. And so we stayed in school all day, and I had to give music lessons that night at my house. And when I got home, they had grounded all the airplanes, so there were no airplanes in the sky. And I had never realized until then how loud the planes were until they weren't flying. And I got home, and it was a nice sunny day, and when I got home, I was so thankful that the sun was shining, for one, and two, I had big trees. It was in another house I had big maple trees, and I looked at my trees, and my trees were still green. My trees were still beautiful. They were still there. My house was still there. And it was deathly quiet. There was not a sound. I don't know if you can imagine, unless you experienced it, I don't know if you can imagine how quiet it was. I mean, there's not a sound. That night when it was time to go to bed, I slept on the couch, as I just felt more comfortable in the living room, and had the news on, TV on, and it was a local station, and kept hearing a plane, and I thought, why is there a plane up there when there's no flying? And so finally they broke into the news and said that people were calling in because they were hearing this plane. Well, not far from here, up in Michigan, is a nuclear power plant, and it was a fighter jet that was patrolling the nuclear power plant to make sure that it was protected. And so that was the only sound you heard all night, was that fighter jet flying around, making his rounds. And so, the next day came, and everything was grounded. And so I wanted to, that was my experience with it. It was a time much different from now. It was a time when we all were on the same team. There was none of this bickering and fighting and backstabbing and calling of names and separate, them and us. It was the first time in my life I ever remember this country being united. And it's the last time I remember it being united. But it was united, and it was something to see in that. Now I want to read this book to you. And it's called September 12th. It was written and illustrated by the first grade students of H. Barron Masterson Elementary in Kent, Missouri. And they published it for the 10th anniversary. But it was written after that. We knew everything would be all right. This is the front of the book. And these are the kids. They're all grown up today. I don't know if you can see that or not. That they'll all be adults today. I'm not going to show you the pictures because we're all grown-ups here. But it's just the kids' pictures. See. On September 11, 2001, many bad things happened. September 12th was a new day. We knew everything would be all right because the sun came up. I'll show you some of them. The birds started to sing again. Yes, it didn't sound like the birds were singing that day. The birds started to sing again. We came to school the same way. We knew everything would be all right when we saw our teacher smiling at the door. We said the pledge like always. We sang the national anthem very loudly. Our teacher sat and read us lots of good books. We had recess again. We knew everything would be all right because we had homework. 2 plus 2 still added up to 4. Our thought for the day became America United. We saw lots of flags. Red, white, and blue suddenly became everyone's favorite colors. On television, we heard our president tell us everything would be all right. On September 12th, our parents still tucked us in our warm, safe beds. Our parents talked to us about the bad things that had happened the day before. We knew we'd be all right because our parents said they loved us. We knew everything would be all right because the stars and the moon came out and America went to sleep. And the next morning, the sun came up again. Not the end. Remember, live life to the fullest, live life with no regrets, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.